Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chaotic Entertainment. I'm your host, Dan, and today I'll be reviewing Lovecraft's Untold Stories 2 by Blinny Games. This is an isometric horror game that draws heavy inspiration from the Lovecraft mythos and all the themes that surround it. The first Lovecraft's Untold Stories was a pixelated horror and investigation game. It was exciting, stressful, and it had just the right mixture of suspense and action. The sequel boldly shakes things up by taking the game in a whole new direction, namely the even crappier parts of Florida. The game markets itself as a semi-roguelike, a word that really has no meaning anymore. It's also meant to be a combination of horror and action, while also promising a big emphasis on story. The game has crafting, exploration, and a variety of characters to choose from, 3 of which you'll unlock as you progress through the game. The characters are unique in appearance and mechanics to the point where the only thing they have in common is they can all walk. Their attacks all function differently, and they all have completely different abilities and unique equipment. All of this sounds promising, but sadly this game reminds me a lot of my ex from college. On the surface, it's shiny with a lot of big promising features, but if you look a little deeper, you'll discover it's about as pleasant and stable as me after 3 hours of League of Legends. Let's get this out of the way right now. This game is ass. Damp, saggy, Kentucky Fried ass with 11 herbs and spices, which all happen to be ass flavored. Everything from the visuals to the story to the gameplay is just one big misstep. This game was as delayed as your childhood development, which is surprising because delays are usually used to polish and fix the final product. This means that either A, this is the polished version, which in that case, Jesus Christ, holy shit, or B, that time was spent fine-tuning this written statement for the day of release. And look, I'm not gonna bash these guys for just coming out and saying, well lads, these scores aren't too promising, now are they? Honesty is great, and we love to see it. What I don't love to see is how this game had thousands of hours of playtime by the devs and was knowingly launched in this condition. All of this is a lot of fluff and build-up, since I haven't actually talked about what this game gets wrong, so let's discuss what you can expect to see when you launch it. This asylum. Also this asylum. Also this asylum. This dock. That dock. This noise. Enemies being both overpowered and underpowered at the same time. Reverse aim assist. What am I looking at? Loot playing keep away. Bruh. Loot trying to molest you. Well, this is fair and balanced. Every aspect of this game feels either broken, unfair, extremely repetitive, or some unholy combo of the 3. The environments aren't just repetitive, they're extremely bland. Protestant church music has more flavor than the maps of this game, which come in 2 categories, brown or gray. How the hell do you take drawn textures and make them look deep-fried? I'm not joking, I want answers. The character models look alright, but they somehow managed to make jumping from pixelated characters to drawn sprites a downgrade. The cutscenes look like box art from a mid-2000s game. The soundtrack is nice, but none of the songs really stick out. That one dude's sex playlist was fucking awful, but at least it was memorable. This is just 20 minutes of the same piano and bass notes on loop. So, if the graphics and the environment aren't much to look at, surely the gameplay is good enough to justify the $25 price tag. Right? Let's start with the combat. The combat in this game is all about moving, shooting, and managing your energy. You need to keep track of your character's health and sanity if you want to survive in this game, which would be fine if it weren't for the fact that healing items are rare, or at the very least, the good ones are. Ammo is unlimited, but grenades are in short supply. They're also about as pleasant to use as an inverted cactus fleshlight. To throw them, you need to stand still, which is the fastest way to die in this game. I've seen crackheads with better balance than this game, but then again, not every type of crackhead gives you status ailments when they mug you.
I'm tired of you fucking molesting me.
Usually, they just trade you hepatitis for your wallet and then move on. There are more monsters that give you damage over time debuffs than ones that don't, which is real unfortunate because when they die, their corpses can cover up these pools on the floor. You know, the ones that also make you take damage over time. Each status in this game largely exists just to drain health, except for stun. Stun is just there to make sure you don't accidentally have fun. Each condition has a specific tool you have to use to treat it, like bandages and antidotes. For some reason, first aid kits don't stop bleeding. You know the box full of stitches, gauze, sterile wraps, all that good stuff? Yeah, getting a bad touch from this guy just can't be treated with all of that. But the crusty socks you found and soaked in bootleg whiskey? That's a fucking miracle cure right there. Also, several of the item descriptions flat out don't tell you what the item does. I get the idea behind it, but in a game this difficult, that's absolutely inexcusable. Of course, you'll only need these items if you've been fighting. Fighting in this game revolves around running away from an enemy, shooting at them, running away, reloading for a second time, running away again, then emptying the whole mag into the target. Depending on your equipment, this process will need to be repeated 2 to 3 times per enemy. In addition to giving you endless debuffs, the enemies in this game are also just giant blocks of health. It can take several shots just to put one down, which is less than ideal when the enemy spawns look like this. This improves as you find stronger equipment, but weapon drops are both completely randomized as well as rare. Until you get some better guns, you're just going to have to get real good at running and holding down the left mouse button real quick. Also, if you don't enjoy fighting the regular enemies in this game, you're not going to like the bosses. I've done 4 of the major boss fights so far, and they've all been terrible. The only one that wasn't unreasonably difficult was this one. But since he couldn't one-shot me from across the map like the other bosses, the developers decided to make the fight as boring as humanly possible. After all, we don't want anyone raising their expectations now, do we? This game isn't just hard, it's flat out unfair. If you get near a corner as either the professor or the detective, that's it. You're done. You can't dodge roll through enemies, grenades are unreliable, and you're about as flimsy as my sense of self-worth. Then there's the glitches. This game has more bugs than a Los Angeles daycare. Some of them are minor, but others make it so I literally can't progress in the game. At some point, at the peak of my frustration, this goddamn game thought it would be funny to give me God mode. When I was at the end of my rope, this fucking piece of shit decided, you know what? Fuck you. You don't even get the sweet release of death. Every minute you spend in the loading screen is a minute spent not playing our amazing title. Do you understand how shit your game has to be to make living seem like a punishment? How did this even happen? Look at this. What did this? I'm as confused as a homeless man on house arrest. Also, it turns out immigrants and tentacle monsters aren't the only thing conspiring against you in this mess, because you'll also be fighting the map as well. See this room full of stuff? Almost none of it is breakable, and one wrong step is all it takes to lose 3/4 of your health bar. Don't worry though, they gave all the furniture enormous invisible hitboxes. You know, to pump up the tension whenever you try to round a corner. Speaking of finding a decent walkway, you should really see this game's AI pathfinding, because my god is it amazing. Thousands of hours spent playtesting this game, by the way. It doesn't help that apparently this game doesn't have a Z-axis, meaning that any objects between you and your target will keep you from doing any damage, or in some cases, even being able to throw grenades. I'm gonna go ahead and guess this is one of those artistic choices they mentioned. $25, by the way! So let's recap. The graphics and soundtrack are adequate. The maps are bad. The enemies are bad. The combat is bad. The game is a buggy mess. Are there any redeeming qualities to be found here?
You suck at everything you do.
No, there is not. The most fun I had with this game was laughing at how broken it was with my friends. The developers have said they plan on working on the issues as fast as they can, but I'm very skeptical. Maybe they will fix it, and if they do, then for the sake of fairness, you might see me make a follow-up video. I gave this game 6 hours worth of trying, but I just can't bring myself to play any more of it. Hey everyone, Dan here. So I went back and replayed this game for a while. I'm at just shy of 18 hours at the time of this recording, and after careful consideration, the game decided to get worse. Yeah, it does not get better after you play it for a while. Lovecraft Untold Stories 2 gets a negative review from me. Don't buy this game, not even on sale. Unless the developers decide they're going to put in an absolute ass ton of work, this game isn't even worth trying. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like and to consider subscribing. If you want to support this channel, you can share this video with your friends or join my Patreon to help me create content like this. Thank you all again. I'll see you all next time.